and declaration of office on Friday 20 and Monday 23 February 2026 at the State Function Room respectively. I welcome the new members. Honourable members, I have to inform the Parliament that I have, in accordance with Section 110 of the Constitution, in memory of the late Honourable gentleman, I invite the Honourable members to rise in their places. I thank the Parliament. Any notices, Clerk?
The Minister for Higher Education, Research, Science, Technology and Sports gives notice that he shall present a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of a university to be known as the IBS University and for related purposes.
Honourable members, question time. The Honourable Governor for West Sepik.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I have a question here to the Prime Minister. But before asking the question, I just want to make a little statement. On behalf of the people of, on behalf of the family and the people of Telefomin of Sabin, and people of West Sepik, East Sepik, Western Hela, and part of Wabek, I would like to take this time to thank the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister and all the ministers and also the opposition for your contribution towards the late Honourable Solomon. Thank you so much for your contribution, and we brought his body back to Telefomin. And on that note, we talk thank you, na Papa God by blessing you, plus the Department of Work, the Secretary and his department, all the business houses, NGOs who have contributed towards his funeral. Thank you so much. And second thing, thank you. I would like to thank the Prime Minister for giving the ministry portfolio to Honourable Peter for your elevation as the Minister for Works and Highways. Thank you. To carry on from the legacy of set, so please continue. If you get to independence next year, whatever, please, good luck on you. If you remain, still good luck. Okay, before I ask a question, Mr. Prime Minister, it has come to my notice that Telefomin will go for the election. But if you look at it with a good wisdom, you don't have enough time left for the election. It was like for a by-election for Telefomin. If you can look into it and make a consideration, and anything to do with the DA or whatever they have DA chairman on board. And with the rest of the MP, I'm flexible. I can be able to step out and do whatever for them. Because the time is limited. And you expect them to lose their resources and then come back for the election in 27. I don't think it's going to be, proper for them. So I'm just putting to your attention with the NEC and look into it. It's only made my decision. We can always use the decision for the betterment of the people of Telefomin and West Sepik. Thank you.
Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Passing through me like look so long. You yet na Work House Committee. Thank you for the refurbishment that is going on in our Parliament as a Speaker. I'd like to commend yourselves and Clerk of Parliament and the team for step by step, bit by bit, fixing and uplifting the face of our people's house. I want to appreciate the question that has come, but before I do so, let me firstly pass my condolence once again, and we pay tribute to the passing of few leaders who've gone to rest. One of them, the Honorable Solan Mirisim, and of course the Honorable Lutu Wenge. We do acknowledge their passing. I want to also recognize into our Parliament for the first time the Honorable Desmond Keeper. We offer on behalf of my family, my own people of Taripori, the Greater Pangu Party network throughout our country, and of course the government that I lead. I want to offer congratulations, hearty congratulations to you for coming through and winning the seat of the Day electorate in Western Highlands. Likewise, I offer my hearty congratulations to the Honourable Byron Chain for winning the seat that was held by one of the fathers of our country, the late Right Honourable Sir Julius Chain. On the issue of by-election that may come up through the vacancy created in the passing of these leaders, I have no direct say in the process of election that does take place. It's a constitutional process that is held by the authority lies with the Electoral Commissioner and the Electoral Commission. But suffice to say, I want to point that we are 13 months from the issuance of the next writs for the 2027 National General Election. 13 months. The law requires that we cannot conduct or hold a by-election within 12 months of the return of writs on the next or oncoming election. So that means we about 4 or 5 months from that period, which is August or July this year. But considering the fact that we're very close upon the required time in which we should not hold a by-election, and we're only 3 or 4 months away from that period, also considering that the vacancy created, especially leadership of the district, the chairmanship of the Telephone district, or also in the instance the governorship of the Morobe province, are now filled by leaders who hold ex-officio positions in those respective leadership positions. In the instance of Telephone, Governor Wawoe fills in as assistant to the district leadership, and they've already appointed president to be chairman of Telephone district. In the case of Morobe, you have now a governor that is holding post, although the regional member position is vacant. I want to say that I have no direct hand in influencing the Electoral Commission to think or do this or otherwise. It's totally within the purview and mandate of the acting Electoral Commissioner. However, costs of these by-elections, including those that are currently before the courts, it is estimated, and in fact she had indicated, it goes above 100 million kina. I want to say on record, we have no 100 million kina in this year's budget to facilitate these by-elections. And so I've asked the Minister for Administrative Services to look into this matter and to see whether there is a need right now for the by-elections to be held, or we preserve that 100 million kina, or whatever it is, to make sure that our plan for 2027 election is probably assisted with our this year's 70 million kina locked into budget to prepare for 2027 elections, so that we save energy, save time, prepare well for the general elections, rather than conducting a by-election that will consume a substantial chunk of resources and take our sniff our energy out of preparing well for 2027. But again, I'm subject to the independent process that the Electoral Commission has custody of. But from the executive government perspective, we rather save our energy, save our resources, plan well for the big elections, because the 2 vacancy right now, especially Telephone and Morobe, has already ex-officio leadership in place. The governor is filled. The chairmanship of Telephone district is filled at the moment. So we from the executive government would be providing this advice to the acting electoral commissioner that cost is quite high. We don't have this money available. We have
a point of order. The honourable member for about. Deputy Speaker. I mean, the issue is in the matter of the death of a governor. The Constitution is very clear. It doesn't matter how the Prime Minister feels about whether election or not to save 100 million. There shall be a by-election in the death of the governor of a province. That's what the law says. It doesn't talk about how the Prime Minister feels about 100 million. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Abal, take note of your point of order. I think the response is from the Prime Minister. I'll allow the Prime Minister to finish his reply to the question.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. As I did mention earlier, and I take note of the advice from the member for Abao, whilst the law is there, and as I said earlier, it is purview and the work of the Electoral Commission decide otherwise from the executive government. We at the moment rather preserve energy for the full and big election that is coming, in lieu of the fact that there's already leaders holding role in those holding position in those roles that those leaders in those seats would have held in any case. But again, I'm subject to the directions and the advices from the Electoral Commission. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Abao.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sorry, Deputy Speaker. My question is for the Attorney General, Minister for Justice, to respond to. Last year, this Parliament amended legislation and approved the new court structure for this country. We have the National Court and the Appeals Court, and right at the top, the Supreme Court. My question is simple. Attorney General, when are you going to operationalize this approved structure, court structure? Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Minister for Justice.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. And I also thank the member for Abal for raising an important questions. Judiciary. As you know, that Parliament, and I also want to take this chance to thank the members of Parliament who voted without much debate. Both sides of the House have supported the bill, and bill went through. So I'm glad that we have taken a mature stand. Politics in this has been also been passed a legislation. We stabilize politics. Now we have to stabilize the judiciary. So we have 8 more legislations to pass. These enabling legislations. I hope we'll give some time sometimes this sitting so that we can get over with it. One is constitutional amendment, which is 2 readings have gone. The final reading will be down this coming sitting, and the other is an organic law, which is also 2 readings have gone, and the third we'll do it this time, the third reading. The others are enabling legislations. We can pass them on the voices. So this will make it effective for the court court system to take off. Once again, thank you very much. I will certainly bring these important bills this time of the Parliament so that we can get over, we can see that new system come into operation. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Sinasina Yangon.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this country's concern is that this government is mishandling so many important issues. We here in opposition don't know where to begin asking the questions on all those important things. One of them is the grey listing recently of our country. It's done irreparable damage to our international image apart from domestic, which we're getting used to anyway. I want to ask a number of questions concerning that to the Prime Minister. Prime Minister, you had, as the leader of the government, at least a minimum of 2 years of notice on the grounds of a potential grey listing. 2 years notice. And Mr. Speaker, Prime Minister and his government effectively didn't address it properly. So after so many warnings over a period of 2 years, we got grey listed. Number one question, can the Prime Minister now admit to the nation that he has failed the nation in avoiding the grey listing after having more than enough notice? That's number one. Number two, this has now become a matter of public concern. It's affecting every citizen, every corporation, every entity in this country now. It's no longer a private matter for the central bank or the government departments nor the cabinet. We are all impacted by this grey listing. Can the minister now publicly in the newspaper set out every single ground upon which the grey listing happened? Every single ground should be listed. So we all know as a nation what those grounds are. How did we end up there? Now this question, number two, is important to the next question, number three, which is this. Having set out those grounds, can he also in that same public notice set out his action plan? What are going to be the Prime Minister's corrective action to each and every one of those grounds? We need to know, because it's no longer an internal management issue for the government and its bankers, etc. anymore. It's now touching the ordinary Papua New Guineans. So we need to know how he plans to remove us from this grey listing. What are going to be his action plan in respect of each and every one of those grounds? Number three, what is the timetable for each and every one of those actions? By what time is he going to satisfy those international organizations responsible for the grey listing that adequate corrective actions have been taken, enough to eliminate that ground one by one until the last one is eliminated? So what is the timetable for each one of those grounds? Number five, Deputy Speaker, sorry. Can he also, in the same process and in that same notice, outline all the negative impacts on the affairs of this nation by the grey listing? In what areas of governance, of government, is there going to be an adverse negative impact? Take, for example, on Papua LNG, or on Wafi Golpu, or on the state's credit ratings, which is usually prepared by international ratings agencies like Standard & Poor's, Moody's, all those international rating agencies. How is this grey listing going to impact in their opinion, and that will affect our credit ratings and our ability to borrow money in the future? What is going to be the negative impact on the kina, which has been going through a series of devaluation and hasn't finished yet, continuing to spiral downwards? What is going to be the impact of this grey listing on the kina, when it's already been going down for other causes, but now coupled with the grey listing, what additional negative impact will there be on the purchasing power of the kina. Finally, number 6, all of these are serious enough to demonstrate, and can he admit, therefore, that this sort of thing is evidence of the government's incompetence in managing the affairs of this nation? Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
All right, thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I want to appreciate the questions by Member for Sinisene Yongomuk. It's an important and pertinent question in one of the major issues that is facing our country right now. But before I do that, let me also congratulate the Honourable James Nomane and the Honourable Kid Idu for their ascension into leadership on the other side of the House as the opposition leader and deputy opposition leader respectfully. Again, it just shows that the opposition is mature in nurturing the next generation leadership and not holding on to leadership on the other side. So I want to commend the ascension of our two brothers into leadership on the other side, and we don't mind questions of scrutiny from the other side. That is the reason why the Parliament exists, and questions like this is appropriate for us to make response and to inform our country appropriately. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this is not the first time our country has gone into grey listing. The last we got out of grey listing was 2015 or 2016 thereabouts. If you place your mind on the years 2015 or 2016, we had just come out of the commissioning of the production of PNG LNG. For a greater part of last decade, our country was placed under similar scrutiny. And so this is not the first time we've been brought to the scrutiny of PATAF. The early 2000s, when for the benefit of those who need to know why grey listing and as such, when the terrorists attacked the Twin Towers in the US, the entire global financial architecture had to review itself to make sure all economies and all countries in the financial systems are not financing terrorism. And so the entire globe, and more so emerging economies and developing countries, come under greater scrutiny than the first world nations who are targets of terrorists themselves. But nonetheless, that's another topic and another discussion. So since the early 2000s right up till today, our nation, like many nations, must be nations where financial systems do not proliferate terrorism financing, as well as lately the conversation on anti-money laundering that has emerged as one of the core focuses of FATF. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to say that in 2018, after we came out of the earlier grey listing in 2015 or 16, FATF went straight to work, and as early as 2018, recognized the need for us to work on this again. So the issuance for PNG's economy and PNG's financial sector to be responsive to FATF requirements came back to us in 2018. And I want to say this placement of us in grey listing in 2026 is consequential on work or no work since 2018. We were faced with the distraction of COVID-19 in 2020, and FATF understood that we were going through the recovery from COVID-19. So we, on the part of FATF and all of us, there was an understanding of a couple of years of extension to the requirements of FATF. But after we took office in 2022, our cabinet tasked DJEC, Department of Justice and Attorney General, to be have oversight over the entire work, to pull together multi-sector, multi-agency to come and have a look at the FATF work. And so, Mr. Minister, Deputy Speaker, I want to indicate that many agencies were not compliant. Many agencies never showed up, and like everything else, I take the blame for much of the things that is happening, and rightfully so. It happened under my watch, so the people, including the opposition, has every right to blame the head of government. But I did summon all agencies, having realized in 2024 that there were weak response to the work by the agency responsible in calling all agency for meetings. That body of departments includes earlier chairmanship by Justice and Attorney General, Treasury, Finance, Planning, PM and NEC, Central Bank, Police, and a host of all relevant government agencies that were to contribute work. But in a meeting early last year, it was established that work was slowed under the chairmanship of Department of Justice and Attorney General, and I made an executive decision to transfer work, that function to Treasury Department. And so Treasury had a handle on this one, and it seems as if it's bad, but I want to inform our country, from over 70 outstanding issues. Over 70 outstanding issues was reduced down to around 15 matters that were found to be outstanding, that put us into a grey list. It wasn't PNG alone. We were partnered with Kuwait, and in this time around in the assessment in I think Mexico, Papua New Guinea and Kuwait were placed into the grey list. Grey list is a basket of, it's saying that you have some outstanding issues, you work, you come out of it, you don't work, and there's a possibility of us moving into the blacklist. And so I want to give assurance to our country, those 15 or so issues that are outstanding are achievable. Big amongst them requires all agencies of state to be at work. And I have issued written and verbal meeting instructions across. For instance, to police. My instruction to police, you don't need to wait for something to happen. You could pick up payment disbursements in finance right away. Go through the list and prosecute money launderers. A big issue that is facing our country right now is the issue on money laundering. I have to be honest up front. They've indicated as on the two twin concerns on PATAF. One is financing terrorism, and second is money laundering. They also established view that we're not doing enough to fight money laundering, and this has been inherent over many, many years. This was an issue of concern as we got out of grey list in 2015, and it remains an issue. And for me, I welcome this assessment. Also, you stop, you're not smelling wrongly yet. If not Lamantok, this is something that needs to be fixed. We must fix for economy going forward. So I want to give assurance to the good member of Sine. Issues have now been reduced to under 15. About 7 or 8 main core issues. One of them is the issuance of money laundering, the fact that police is quite slow in prosecuting those grey accounts. Those grey accounts that is labeled as accounts that possibly money laundering accounts in our country. I've given instructions to police, and in that meeting we all held together as a police commissioner. You don't need me to tell you to do your job. That's your constitutional duty. Work with FASU, work with Central Bank, and if there are any grey areas that needs to be looked into, especially suspicious transactions in our banking system, then put a stop and prosecute. I hope the police commissioner and those responsible are listening into this utterance. They are at work, and I want to give assurance. For instance, police has now grounded over 215 million kina belonging to people of Western Province that is held in the trust account of one law firm in our country. So this sort of work is happening. This predates many, many years of assumingly a network of money laundering in our country that needs to be stopped. And I want to give assurance to our people that this grey listing is good. As I work, and this government work to grow the economy, it is of no avail if the economy is grown and people who profit from sharpening of public funds are still in existence in our economy. So this is reminder for us to really tighten the game in respect to stopping money laundering in the economy. I've invited the police and Auditor General and everybody else to look into what's happening in finance, planning and treasury. If need be, follow the money trail. This morning also, for instance, I wrote a letter to the police commissioner in the case of Paraka. Follow the money trail. Enough Lobiani paper trail, that's all. Look at my account. Money, he transferred from account to account, but none of hide. So follow the money trail. I think big need, Mr. Deputy Speaker, through you and through the question. And I will get, he asked me to put publicly the issues that are noted as outstanding. That's a good request. I thought the Treasurer would have done it by now. If it's not happened, then we'll get a paid advertisement on the core issues they feel is outstanding for us to address. But as I said, key amongst them is the issue of money laundering. And instruction has gone to police, central bank, FASU, pursue those suspicious transactions, suspicious accounts, and they predate not just the Mara Peroso Pangu government's time, but right through the better part of the last 2 decades. And police will be at work to follow money trails, and once evidence of prosecution or prosecuting money laundering in our country does take place, then this will form the basis of us being reassessed in a better light. And for me, as I said earlier, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I welcome this because it gives us an opportune time to close in the gaps through money laundering amidst us. And I want to say that is your third question, Mr. Member for Sine. So the timetable, we have about 2 years to fix this, but I've issued instruction to all government agencies. While 2 years is a time we must fix to get out, or thereabouts, it is in our own interest to do so within 12 months, and our team are at work as we speak through this one. If I could ask, one of his questions was, what are the negative impacts? We lived through this in 2014, 15, 16, thereabouts. We've got out of grey list. In all our major investors, they understand the PNG work environment. And so it does not affect Papua LNG in a big way, or Wafi Golpu, all our major foreign direct investment projects we have hanging to be processed are all okay. They understand exactly what we are doing. It will certainly cause a little bit of tight grip in your ID when you do bank transactions in our country, but it's about time we all are identified well as we do bank transactions in our country. We are managing the effect of this very closely. We are also managing monitoring the effect of the oil crisis that is happening as a result of war. So all in all, our Treasury and our National Security Advisory Team have been put on notice to look at the grey listing effect as well as the other effect, as not to burden our businessmen and businesswomen and every legitimate transactors of our economy. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I want to ask if the good member could put his questions again in a formal writing to me. I've lost some of the issues that he's raised, but we will make a concerted effort either through the Treasurer or myself later in this sitting of Parliament on the grey listing as a standalone response for the benefit of all of us in this House and for the country. Thank you too much.
Your point of order, the Honourable Member.
Then was the publication of the grounds, the action plan and the timetable, publication, because now it reached a point where we need transparency in this whole episode. So I need a clearer commitment from the Prime Minister that he's going to direct somebody to publish in the newspaper so that the people know, and they will help the Prime Minister and his government to hold those departments to task.
Honourable Member, your point of order is in order, but I think the Prime Minister answered and make it clear that he will direct people to publish this in paper. And he asked that your questions be put in paper to him so he can follow your questions to put publication in regard to the questions you've asked for. Honourable Member for Manus, Governor for Manus.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
asking Blamino Katok Sabe by Golo, Minister of Higher Education. But before me ask him, me like him time lo congratulate him. Member of Day, Desmond Keeper, lo Winblay lo Kam lo Parliament. Me wish him you all the very best inside a few months before time lo election can by come. Me too look Sabe lo Governor lo provincial member lo New Island Province, na Governor of New Island, Baron Chen, congratulations to you, all people of New Island, lo makim you, lo come up, Governor of Province. Asking Blomi no katok sabe golo Minister of Higher Education, and me pass lo payment long all school fees, all tertiary institutions play me. Last year, me asked him same kind of question, but me not see one good pla back him. So now me la ask him can this pla question. Teteba you me look all school fees for colleges na universities must buy him. Stop 30,000, 20,000, over 10,000. And plenty along all these pla colleges and universities, only expect him, Sumatin lo go inside, lo buy him 60% to 80% of school fees. Taking into account 80% of online blow me, they are subsistence farmers. All e-line blow players. How do you expect them to meet 80% of this school fees? Tete time talk, I got some blast Sumatin now only sleep lo dormitories. They cannot attend class. Only hope that a miracle would be done so all can attend him class because all no meet him display 80%. Take him into account, plenty lo him lo country. All beginning blow him attend him school, I got Pobla, Tirvla, Tupla. And parents by making decision as to whether this one will attend class, this one will go to university, this plan no good by withdrawal. But let me make it clear, the parents have the ability to pay him school fees. Except you may expect him all those colleges and universities, I expect him all to pay him from day one, when they can be able to pay, suppose me, him good over the whole year. And if you may all members of the parliament, for example, he all get a school fees too. Mitla open member of me, and mitla put him 3 million kinala school fees for this year. But there's process, yet. All mangi like school. How about only attending class, suppose you come inside to assist? So that is the issue where it come up. Even guarantee letters are given, only no honoring guarantee letters. So I'm questioning now. Minister
through higher education loan program. It's an opportunity where every degree program can get up to loan of up to 10,000 kina, masters up to 25,000, and PhD up to 35,000 kina that this government has made available for our students. The only catch is you have to be a registered student to access that. So that's a challenge where Governor you come Logan. But in terms of tests, I'm happy to say that our government has front-loaded all the funds, and all our first-year students, all their fees in terms of tests have been paid. And as we speak, for the continuing students, it's been paid. So again, I thank the government for prioritizing higher education and lower education and front-loading funds to be paid to each of those sectors. But my assurance, Governor, and of course the people of Papua New Guinea, is I want to push it back to those days when, back in those days, I asked some of the older folks, when they went to universities and colleges, all fees were paid and they even had allowances. And so I'm thinking to myself, why can't we bring back those days? Again, the numbers are huge, the cost will be huge. So we are going to work on several models. I've asked my team to work on several models, and we'll take it to Cabinet, and Cabinet will, in its wisdom, decide which option to take. So that's the assurance that I can give to Governor and to the people of Papua New Guinea. Thank you.
Honourable Opposition Leader.
Deputy Speaker, thank you. My question without notice goes to the Honourable Prime Minister. Deputy Speaker, recently, just as case in point, to provide context to my question, we saw there was a mini cabinet reshuffle and we had a new police minister appointed in the Honourable Sir John Pundari, and we saw the former police minister appointed as the works minister. So, case in point, in terms of what the opposition and the people of Papua New Guinea expect, Deputy Speaker, is that we saw the new police minister take on reform, hit the ground running, and effectively start to deal with illegal gun proliferation and the tribal conflicts happening up in Enga as a hot zone for tribal conflict. This is what the opposition and the people of Papua New Guinea expect. So kudos to the government and thank you to the minister. And we saw the former police minister, the new Minister for Works and Highways, immediately tell the people of Papua New Guinea what we can expect in his first 100 days in office. Now, my question to the Honourable Prime Minister, as the Chief Executive, the Chairman of the National Executive Council and the Chief Executive of the independent state of Papua New Guinea, what are all these other ministers in Cabinet doing, Mr. Prime Minister? There's 39 ministers in Cabinet. That's 3 rugby teams. They should be kicking tries after tries after tries for the people of Papua New Guinea, yet everybody's asleep. In every response, Deputy Speaker, it's always the Prime Minister coming to defend government policy. It's always the Prime Minister coming to defend government action, inaction. What about all these other ministers? I stand by my call, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that the Prime Minister needs to seriously cull Cabinet, reduce the numbers to about 20 ministers so it is an effective, lean unit that can effectively respond to the people's calls, implement government policy and produce results. Because half the ministers are just sleeping. They're on a forever holiday and we hardly see or hear any of them. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Honourable Prime Minister.
The question is, will the Prime Minister commit to reducing the size of Cabinet and sacking some of these ministers so they can become members of Parliament just like the rest of us? Thank you.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I want to appreciate the question posed by the opposition leader, and I appreciate him noting a few ministers at work. I want to say that all ministers are absolutely giving their best shot to work, and if there are any issues concerning their line of duty, the questions must be directed to these ministers on matters directly felt underserved from the perspective of the opposition. So ministers are available to take any questions, but for the sake of the country to note with us, we're currently now going through the work that they're doing. I've told ministers 1 year is big enough for us to make the last 10 in respect to our 5-year commitment to our people. And the ministers are absolutely doing their best. By 31st of March this year, the reports expected from all the departments they care or they have custody over would have been furnished to all to the Prime Minister's department, and Chief Secretary will and his team will put through tasks as to ascertain exactly what has been done. Ministers sometimes get the blame for what is not happening out there. Agency heads are requested now to submit. There's a reform coming before us that we want to restore full power to the Chief Secretary for hire and fire department heads who are not working. And so by 31st of March, all department heads would have submitted in what they've done in the previous year. Those little areas that needs to be fixed are being fixed upon. But for the purpose of the opposition leader's question, I want to give him assurance that ministers are trying their absolute best. If there is any area of concern, please don't just shoot me a question, pause at shooting me a question, and please shoot the ministers a question and ask them on respect to certain areas the country feels the ministers need to respond upon. But I want to give assurance to the country, 31st of March, the department heads are expected to submit a report at this sitting of Parliament. If Chief Secretary himself is ready, then an amendment would have come through that compels the department heads who do not submit report in by 31st of March. It's ground enough.
Provincial member comprising elected eligible representative and nominated members is therefore not about removing decentralization, but it is about making decentralization work better. And with that comes decentralization powers and functions. Mr. Deputy Speaker, if responsibilities are clearly defined and fewer layers are involved, decisions can be made faster, funds can move more efficiently, and communities can see results more quickly. Mr. Deputy Speaker, if we also seen during consultations that many Papua New Guineans value stability in leadership, development plans take time. Roads, hospitals, schools, and economic projects cannot be completed overnight. They require steady leadership and continuity in government policy. However, Mr. Deputy Speaker, our political history has shown that frequent changes in leadership can interrupt development planning, and when government changes often, priorities can change as well. Long-term projects sometimes stall while new policies are introduced. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Commission therefore, relating to how the Prime Minister is selected, is intended to give voters clearer choices during elections and provide governments with a stronger and more stable mandate to govern for a full term. Mr. Deputy Speaker, when people clearly understand which party and leadership team they are voting for, the outcome of election becomes more decisive. And governments can then focus on delivering policies rather than constantly defending their position. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in relation to the role and head of state, many citizens express pride in Papua New Guinea's journey as an independent nation. Having reached 50 years of independence, it is timely to consider whether our head of state arrangement should evolve to reflect our national maturity and identity. The recommendation to move toward a non-executive president is intended to maintain the same neutral and constitutional role while allowing Papua New Guinea to symbolically express its sovereignty through a national head of state. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the President, like the current system, would remain above politics and would continue to safeguard constitutional processes. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Commission also considered the lawmaking process in Parliament, and today, legislation passed by this House can have wide and long-lasting effects on the lives of millions of citizens. Yet, in many cases, laws must be debated and passed within tight timeframes due to the demands of the parliamentary calendar. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the proposal for a bicameral parliament introduced the idea of a second chamber that can review legislation before it becomes a law. Such a chamber would represent provincial interest and provide an additional level of scrutiny. It would not replace the House, but rather strengthen the overall legislative process by ensuring that laws are carefully examined before implementation. Mr. Deputy Speaker, many democratic countries use this system to improve the quality of legislation and strengthen checks and balances. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I also welcome the recommendation relating to women's representation in Parliament. Throughout the country, Mr. Deputy Speaker, women contribute immensely to community development. In many villages, women manage markets, organize health awareness programs, lead church activities, ensure that children attend schools. Despite these contributions, their presence in national decision-making remains very limited. The Commission therefore recommended several possible mechanisms such as reserve seats, nominated positions or quota arrangements are made. These measures are designed to encourage greater participation until representation becomes more balanced through the normal electoral process. Mr. Deputy Speaker, many countries have successfully used similar approaches to strengthen an inclusive leadership. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the report also addresses issues within the electoral system itself. In recent elections, we have seen challenges related to candidate nomination, lengthy court disputes, and delays in confirming results. These issues can create uncertainty and sometimes lead to tensions in communities. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the Commission therefore recommends clearer candidate qualification requirements, improved nomination procedures, and faster mechanism for resolving election disputes. The goal is simple. Election must produce outcomes that are accepted as fair, transparent, and legitimate. Mr. Deputy Speaker, another key area examined in the report is to strengthen the political parties. Political parties play an essential role in organizing ideas and presenting policy alternatives to the public. But when party systems are weak, politics can, however, become unpredictable, and governments may struggle to maintain consistent policy direction. Mr. Deputy Speaker, when parties are stable and policy-driven, voters can make informed choices and government can operate more effectively. Mr. Deputy Speaker, allow me also to acknowledge the support we received from the government during this review process. The government recognized that after nearly 50 years of independence, it is both responsible and necessary to examine whether our constitutional arrangements are still serving the nation as effectively as they should. This review is not about rejecting the visions of our founding fathers, but on the contrary, it builds upon the strong foundation they created. Like any system, our former system of government must evolve over time as circumstances change and as our country grows. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I therefore wish to sincerely thank the Prime Minister and his government, our government, for giving the Commission the mandate and the support needed to carry out this important national task. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the report before Parliament is the result of careful study, public consultation, and comparative research. We examined how other democratic nations manage similar challenges. We studied both the success and the lessons learned from other systems. But in the end, the recommendations in this report are shaped primarily by the realities of Papua New Guinea. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the reforms proposed in this report are not simply about present political arrangement. They are about creating a stronger and more effective system of government for the future of Papua New Guinea. Mr. Speaker, as this debate continues in this Honourable House, I also encourage all members to engage with the recommendations thoughtfully and responsibly. And let us work together to strengthen the system of government that will guide Papua New Guinea into the years ahead. And I thank this Honourable House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Firstly, I want to commend the member for Occupy, the chairman of the Constitutional Law Reform Commission, for leading the commission the last 2.5 years, if not the last 4 years rather, and for presenting to Parliament last October the report that we had a preview of. I want to say this report comes at a time when a nation has passed through 50 years of nationhood. The fathers of our Constitution, when they birthed our Constitution on the 15th of August 1975, they had no 50 years of hindsight experience. The most diverse nation on planet Earth was fused together under one Constitution since then. Since 15th August 1975, this Constitution gave birth to our country on 16 September 1975 and right up till today. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we are now traveling through our 50th anniversary year. By 16 September this year, we would have gone into our 51st year as a nation. And we have so much evidence of the strength and the downside of our democracy thus far. This report doesn't come to us for us to reinvent the wheel. It gets us into a question mood for all of us to reflect what are the strengths of our democracy, what are the weaknesses of our democracy, how can we strengthen to making sure this democracy that was birthed by the fathers and mothers of our country is preserved, strengthened, and the structure is better able to serve our people better, including the children who are sitting in the public gallery expecting much from us. 50 years of hindsight should indicate to us some lessons. Mr. Speaker, this work by the Saki Soloma Committee or Commission has put to us certain questions. Is the present mode of electing Prime Minister relevant in the context of delivering expected outcomes? Is our reporting to the monarchy as head of state relevant to us and assisting in service delivery to our people? Is the current provincial government structure and the three-tier system of government relevant and better serving our country, or we should be again looking at another structure of government, in fact augmenting or making decentralization better work, and the introduction of the conversation bicameral parliament instead of just having a unicameral parliament, and moving the governors to the Senate-like structure in our government structure so that they could then vet and assist in checking what the parliament does and the executive government does. So the important pertinent question put to us by the Commission in the 50th year of our nationhood. And I want all of us, party leaders, all members of parliament, at the 50th mark to take this question seriously and look in the hindsight and contribute where we can so that we could entrench the fundamentals of our democracy, secure our democracy, and making sure that we pass on a better, effective working system to the next generation who will come after us. Mr. Speaker, from perspective of the party I lead, the Pangu Party, we take seriously matters dealing with the Constitution. The party had the leadership role in promulgation of the Constitution, and the spirit of the Constitution is deeply ingrained with the Pangu Party Constitution in itself. And we do not take lightly the recommendations put forth by the Commission. CLRC had consulted widely our country. They were able to use all modes of questionnaires available, including online questionnaires and contact with our constituent. And this may be the third biggest round of consultation with our people. The first round of consultation took place in the early 70s. The second round of consultation took place under the chairmanship of late Ben Micah, that saw mishmash, if I could use this word. What was meant to be removal of provincial government system in 1995, but currently we're living 30 years later with the effect of non-clear definition of roles of provincial government and the National Assembly or National Parliament, the Provincial Assembly, the LLGs. So we've created more structures as a result of the 1995 reform that came out from the CLRC work at 95. And so these are some issues that we need to tidy. Clearly, what is provincial government's role? And then in 2014, we threw in DDA into the picture. So what is DDA's role? What is LLG's role? What is the ward's role? We have too many structures and levels of leadership that sometimes can be competing for resources, if not, can be areas in which blames are passed over and responsibilities not clearly in the absence of clear definition of responsibilities. So this report is, I ask all of you, I rise in support of the chairman, consider these recommendations. And I want to give you all one example. For instance, the last 50 years, we've had an average life of government, the executive government, at almost 2.5 years. The Constitution, Section 145, has been a law that was intended well but used since 1975 to cause the greatest level of instability in our country. And I want to qualify my assessment in this manner. From 1975, after we were bettered as a country, we went to the elections in 1977. From 1977, after the elections, the first vote of no confidence attempt came into play in 1978-79. And then we had the first successful vote of no confidence in 1980. So the government was still settling in, and then Somali government was defensive in as far as a possible vote of no confidence was concerned. So the government was changed in 1980. In 1982, the Somali government came back after the elections. In 1985, change took place. The Winti government came in. In 1987, they went to the elections. In 1988, the Namali government came in. 1992, Winti government comes back in. 1995, you had the chain government that came in. 1997, the chain government that came in. 1999, Mekere government that came in. And of course, 2002, the NA government that came in. The first, Mr. Speaker, the first 27 years of our nation's life, we were changing government every 18 months to 2 years. And I want to put to you all one statistics. And place your finger on a 1 billion kina economy at 1975 to a 17 billion kina economy, I beg your pardon, a 5 billion kina economy at 1975 to a 17 billion kina economy in 2002. So for the first 27 years of our nation's life, we had only grown the economy by 17 billion kina. We were busy forming government, not mentioning the years lost in the contest for prime ministership. That was the rationale in which the late Mekere Morata introduced the organic law on political parties and candidates. He introduced this law in 2001 that saw the stable 9 years of rule of the Somali government that birthed the economic trajectory that our country is in right now. 9 years of stable Somare government leadership saw a government with the ability to reconstruct the fundamentals. For instance, and I put to all of you young ones who need to understand the history of our country, with stability and no need for DSIP and PSIP, then trust right to buckle in. At the backdrop of high debt, a 70% debt to GDP post-1997 to 2002, at a backdrop of keener depreciation, at a backdrop of a high level of deficit, and almost nil forex in 2001, this law gave Somare government the stability of the first 5 years to get into work, including telling IMF we don't need you around those times, including telling and the Somare government work on a reconstruct of the economy from 2002 to 2007. And so it pays to also give consideration to stability without compromising the check and balance, the parliament system, the provincial government system, the democracy needs to have in place. USA have what they call, they have a 4-year presidential term, they have the impeachment process for the president. If there's an error by the leader of the country, there's an impeachment process put in place so that a leader could be impeached. And so this reform looks at asking us, this body of leaders, our question, is the current structure serving our country well? We've seen under my time in office, for instance, 8 attempts in terms of VONC. Now the opposite leader just posed me a question, what is the ministers doing in terms of work? Half the time they're also managing a system that is not running well because the public service feels that the government is changing, so the public service is not at work at the same time too. So we need to ask ourselves a honest question. I want to put to all of us, if you really studied our country, in the 18 times government has been formed in our country, from 1975 to 2002, 13 times government was formed, or 12 times. From 2002 to 2026 today, government was formed, collect total 18 times all in all from 1975 to 2025 or 26. So half the time we've been busy forming governments. In the 18 times government formation is up in the air, public service in our country goes on a holiday. So we've wasted 18 years out of the 50 years just on a holiday mood because politicians are playing politics. It's a serious conversation we need to think about. We can pass this to the next generation, but they'll be stuck in the same quagmire we are faced with today. Quagmire of inefficiency, quagmire of everyone trying to form government, change government. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, there's no ladies right now, but gentlemen leaders, I am not talking about James Marabe preservation. You never know next year whether I'll be around in this designation or not. But being a student of PNG politics, looking back the last 50 years, seeing that one of the biggest causes of non-consistent progress really has been the stability of this office. The Governor Winty was here a few parliaments ago standing up and saying in his tenure as Prime Minister, half the time he was managing politics than managing the country. So this is a question we need to put. What is the best possible way, without compromising good accountability, transparency, good governance, what is the best possible way to have a government that is a stability, that has the mandate from the people? And a question that was put, we asked, in part of the terms of reference CLRC asked is, are you willing, he asked the people, are you willing to elect a Prime Minister? They said people have responded in the affirmative, in the majority have responded that they want to elect a Prime Minister. But this question is something that's not something that we will handle it and deal with it and go to the elections, next election. I believe the conversation needs to be spoken. People want to elect a Prime Minister. How do we go about tidying this process? Maybe the opposition nominate one candidate and government nominates another candidate. Maybe party leaders if they want to run as Prime Minister candidate, they could run as Prime Minister candidate. If it gets the mandate from the people, they have 5 years to run with the check and balance put in place. The governors are placed on the the upper chamber or upper house, members of parliament remains at the national parliament. Those are fundamental conversations that need to be spoken. This committee has put this question out for us to debate. And so we may not have the time today to fully go through this and discuss, but I stand to open the conversation up and ask both sides of the House to give serious thought to this one. Certainly, as we go to the elections next year, when we come back again, there will be VONC attempts right after 18 months is completed. And so whoever, maybe me, because I have enough experience, I could diffuse it and go and work with it, but certainly whoever comes who doesn't have the experience to manage numbers, you'll be back to the drawing board every 18 months. And I tell you, the public servants of our country will not be working but having a field day out there doing things amongst themselves. We need to look at it holistically. How do we strengthen the political structure? How do we tidy public service to run on a merit-based program devoid of every now and then political influence? What is the role of governors and where do they sit and how do they check? All of us, certainly this report, and I'll be the first to defend the role of governors. They need to be protected. They're at work. They live outside of the instability of Wagani, so let us empower them, allow LGs to have a strong link to the provincial assembly and let them work. And how do we collectively tidy these areas that has been weakness amidst our democracy and strengthen our country going forward in a structure that gives stability to national leadership as well as protect the transparency aspect of any democracy we would have wanted. So it's a timely question to us. I ask all party leaders to have a look at what needs to be done, and we could, again, continue to pick up this debate, but more importantly, progress the work. I want to, from our side, give full commitment to the committee of Governor Baird, especially from the context of preparing for 2027 elections. Governor Baird, while sits on the other side, his committee will keep check on us as we work to prepare for elections, things like tidying common roll, fixing the roll, making sure the system is okay. And next year, certainly we'll be going in with the current system we have. But this is something we can look into, put to our country, maybe work together for the next 10 years. When our nation hits 60 years, the structure we want, and 60 years comes up in 2035, and our nation's hit 60 years, we could have a structure that has given consideration to unicameral parliament, given consideration to the strengthening of provincial government system, as a clear process that gives stability to the Prime Minister's office and allows our public service to work at arm's length and independent, but is also effective for the service delivery of our people. So a proposal worth considering by all of us, and I want to ask you to take note of this and join in the debate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Member for Sinisene Yangumo.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. On behalf of the people of Sinisene Yangumo, I reject this proposed reform in its entirety. Lock, stock, and barrel. Totally rejected. I think we are doing this for the wrong reasons. We're doing it with ulterior motives, using the parliamentary system and the privileges that are available to us, and should be seen for what it is. And I invite especially the members of this parliament sitting on the government side to play their role as leaders, not as members of the government, but their role as individual leaders, and see this with clarity for what it is. We, opposition here, that's what we see. We see that this is all done for a collateral purpose, and that is, in the pretext of stability, an entire reform is brought into the system of government, is about to be changed through this proposal, and for the wrong reasons. Let me take our mind back to 1974. This question is not a new question. When we were setting about, our forefathers, when they were setting about in 1972-3 and publishing their final report in 1974, this was one of the core questions they considered. Whether we adopt a presidential system of government or a parliamentary, or otherwise referred to as a prime ministerial system of government. This whole thing was considered in full detail in a very comprehensive study that canvassed the entirety of this country. They were at the crossroads. They had to make the right choice at that point in time, whether we go presidential or we go prime ministerial. In the final analysis, when they published their final report in 1974, they felt, in all the wisdom available to them, that the best way for this country to go forward was to adopt a prime ministerial, a parliamentary system of government. They felt that considering the special, unique cultures and the environment of this country, a presidential system was inappropriate. Now, if you're interested to know the detailed studies, I invite all of you, before you take the vote here, go back and study the CPC report of 1974, which comes in 2 volumes, and together they're this thick. But just go to the relevant parts that talk about the system of government that we should have in this country, and you will see that they recommended to us. And so subsequently, in 1975, this parliament adopted in the Constitution a prime ministerial system of government. Now, up to this point, the reasons why they chose and recommended to us, and we legislated into the Constitution to adopt a prime ministerial or parliamentary system of government, have not been obviated. They still remain relevant to this very day. So here, the current chairman of the CL Constitutional Planning Law Reform Commission here is recommending to us to undo the fundamental of our system of government without invalidating the reasons that go into the CPC report. We can't accept that. Before you come about with this kind of shortcut, ill-considered recommendation, you need to invalidate the reasons that are set down in the CPC report first. Show us point by point why the circumstances that are canvassed in the CPC report no longer relevant today. You cannot just gloss over it, come to a conclusion and tell us, this parliament, to accept that those reasons are no longer applicable. The only thing that I see surfacing continuously, consistently in the 2 speeches delivered so far is the notion of stability. Stability for whose benefit? Stability for this government to enable them to continue their grip on power in perpetuity? That has to be the reason. That's not democracy. Democracy thrives on a regular turnover.
Honourable Member, we have a point of order.
Point of order is just with respect to the Honourable Member. The City 4 report is very, very thick, and we can't go through all the details of that. It's better to read through the entire report before we make decisions on this report, because this report that we undertook, it's only a report, it's not a reform. It's a report where we can debate and then we decide whether or not, from the recommendation from the 7 terms of reference, you can pick it up and choose which you want to. Bring up.
Member, Honourable Member for Sensino Yangumul, Honourable Members, the paper has been presented earlier in the previous Parliament, and today the Leader of Government Business had brought it forward for us to continue the debate on what has been there. There will be no vote on this, so every members of Parliament have the rights to bring up what they thought about the report, whether they feel that it be better for the nation. Every members have right to bring a report on that. So
Honorable Chairman, we will allow the members to express what they thought about this debate as the paper you have presented. So, Honorable Member for Sensible, you may continue your debate.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The CPC report 1974 that I referred to was chaired by the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Thomas Somare, deputy chaired by Dr. John Momas, who's still around, assisted by very eminent young lawyers like the late Bernard Narokobi, who championed the voice of the Melanesian voice, something that some of you are familiar with. These are eminent people who wrote the CPC report and gave us the conclusions that led to what we have now. Now, if you go to discredit those people, you got to do it properly. Very, very eminent people, learned people in their time. You got to do it properly.
Honourable Member, we have another point of order. Prime Minister.
I know the member for Sinisina used the word discredit those people. This report doesn't discredit the people. This augments their work, consolidates democracy, identifies how we've come the last 50 years. So if he cares to spend time reading or hearing the chairman's report, this doesn't discredit the foundational fathers of our nation. And it amplifies the work and puts to us. And he said earlier that we're trying to change it for next year, self-preservation. We heard me say, this is a proposal on the table, we should be discussing this and work towards 2035. 2035, he may not be around, I may not be around. It's something that we must engage in conversation today. The hindsight, entrenching the work the foundational fathers have done. So I want to dispute that this work doesn't bring their work into disrepute, rather entrench their work and look at questioning the democracy we have today and strengthen the fundamentals.
Honourable Prime Minister, your point of order is in order. The member will take note of what you have debated. Allow him to continue your debate.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, maybe the word that I used has caused some unnecessary alarm. But the heart and soul of this particular reform that's now being presented to this chamber is to move from the election of the Prime Minister on the floor of this Parliament to get the people to elect. And I'll come to that point separately in the course of my debate. That's what I'm saying. It's a fundamental shift away from what we have to something that some people want us to have. And the debate now is, do we want that change? That's what we're talking about. So if you allow me to say what I have to say, other people are waiting in line to debate also, is this. The difference between the presidential and the prime ministerial system is very, very significant, especially for this country, with its multitude of languages, tribes and cultures. So I'm just trying to project it forward for the purposes of this debate in my mind. I'm trying to imagine a candidate, a presidential candidate from Central Province going up to the Highlands and campaigning. Think about it. That's the reality of our Papua New Guinea at the moment. Think about a presidential candidate from Central Province going up to the Highlands and campaigning there. Well, listen to me. You can have, Mr. Speaker, they can
Honourable
debate.
Members, allow the member
Yes.
to...
There was a time, Mr. Speaker, in case these people forget, there was a rugby league competition in this country between New Guinea and Papua. It pitched two halves of the country against each other. We went into considerable violence for more than a week in the city. Now what you got to do, if you have any degree of wisdom, is to avoid putting this country on a platform that will lead to provincial and regional conflicts. Right now, I see that this country is in a worse position than before as at independence, because I cannot see how presidential candidates will move around its region and campaign. In theory, you can, but in practice, you won't if you know your country well. Yeah, but if you are in this government, of course, your eyes are blind to what's happening around you, such as people on that side. But let me tell you this. It will not be possible or practical and you're putting your people on a regional platform, and very soon this country will lead to conflict along regional lines when people try to block the votes as they do in today's election at the open level and at the government level. That will be scaled up to the national level, and your country will be in chaos. That's the point.
Honorable Governor, what's your point of order?
What member for Senator Yongubuk is advocating, I think this statement, although it's a debate, but we must be careful what we say, because what we say can affect our people's sort of thinking and so on. And I want to say that in Port Moresby, we campaign and, we get mandate from all diverse people in our city. I won't be here if Papua New Guinea did not respect me. Member for Moresby South likewise.
Honorable Governor.
Yeah, so we be careful
Governor.
about what we say. That's the point I'm saying.
Honorable Governor.
Not inciting, this type of division.
Honorable Governor, I don't think you are raising a point of order.
Thank you, Mr.
You are making a statement. If you would like to debate on the statement, I can allow you. I'll let the member to express what he feels about this. This is the time of debate. And Honorable Governor, this is Parliament, and every member has right to express what they felt about any motions that bring to this Parliament. So I'll allow him to speak. Honorable member.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. The utility of a bill or a reform must be tested on the floor of this Parliament before it's voted, become law, and becomes implemented. If there's an element of risk, that risk must be analyzed on this floor, but because it can't be done outside. That's what I'm doing. I see a risk there. So I'm espousing it. People might disagree with me, but they can show it on the vote. So now, let's come to the let me come to the point about the presidential and the prime ministerial system. Before you discredit the CPC report, you got to set out your reasons and explain it properly, so we understand that you're doing it for the right reasons. Up to now, I'm sorry, but we're not persuaded, we're not convinced. And we think it is done for collateral purposes, to continue the perpetration of government, those who are in power at the moment, for as long as it is tangible and feasible, using the privileges that are available on the floor of this Parliament. Now, the other thing that we should be conscious about is the costs. The costs. We already know the cost involved with an open member trying to campaign in a small district. The costs are at the moment prohibitive. The governor's is slightly bigger. Now, a president, you want to be a president, you better have big pockets. Question is, where will you get your money? A lot of us don't have that kind of money to run around the whole campaign. So what you will end up finally doing with this kind of reform is that only the people with the money and the connections with the business houses, powerful business houses, will end up becoming presidential candidates. The ordinary leader, highly qualified, will be disqualified just by the fact that he's got no money in his pocket to finance his campaign countrywide. You look at America. You look at the amount of donations that go behind it, the lobbying and the obligations and the contracts and the kickbacks that goes on in the United States. All openly, and we know it, and supported by their legislation. Do we want to go down that track? Legitimize corruption? Pass laws to support extended donations so that we can finance our presidential campaign, and when we get into power, we have to repay those debts. Not out of our own pocket, but through public wealth. Those are the risks that are there. Think about it. Now, what is wrong with this system as we have it? Prime ministerial system as we have it. Parliamentary system as we have it. There's nothing wrong with it, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I can assure you of that. Nothing wrong. The only thing that's wrong with it is not the system, but the people, the leaders, in their attitude, their upbringing, their mentality when they come to this floor are not thinking of saving the people. They are busy saving themselves, continuing enjoying the perks and privileges of the office. They no longer think of the people. That's what they do. There's nothing wrong with the system, the prime ministerial system. When the leaders go wrong, you don't reframe it and say we're going to presidential. The same people will migrate over there, take the same attitude into that system. Same attitude. There will be no change. What we need to do is, instead of wasting our time on studies like this, let us enforce the laws as we have it now. The enforcement system in this country is completely collapsed.
Honourable Member, we have another point of order.
Please, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I just want to point just one area that actually good Honourable Member did not care to read the report. From the report, we recommended two ways, particularly with the election of the Prime Minister. We can have people directly electing the Prime Minister. That's one option. Another option is that the Section 63 notice that has been given and invited the political party with the biggest number to form the government, that one can be amended so that right from the start, before the national general election, any political party with its policies and platforms with the leadership there that go into election, and whichever political party comes with the bigger number, the head of state will directly come and appoint the party leader as the Prime Minister, instead of going and hold another,
Honourable Member and Chairman,
the two options that we have recommended. So if
I would not allow you to make a statement in regard as a point of order.
And read the book, please. Read the report, please. We are not doing
Honourable members, Honourable Member for Sinsina Yongumul, Honourable members, the paper has been distributed to all of you. You all read. Every members who speak their mind, so allow them to speak their mind. Thank you.
Thank you for your understanding. So what I'm saying is this: there's nothing wrong with the prime ministerial system. What is actually wrong is the behavior of our leaders. That's where the system is failed, because the system does not implement itself, but the people, the leaders here, implement the system, and they implement it in the wrong way. But to deal with that, there's a system, there's a procedure called the law enforcement system. And the law enforcement system in this country has substantially collapsed. That's where we should be putting our focus, our resources, our attention on. You enforce the laws as you find them. And if that fails, then you talk about these sort of things. But we haven't gone down that pathway. As I speak right now, there are many of us who should be standing before the Ombudsman Commission, standing before ICAC, standing before the public prosecutor, standing before the leadership tribunal, standing before the... But we aren't. We are still here, operating as leaders. That is where the problem is. In law, they call it the mischief. That is where the mischief is. You must see it for what it is. The mischief here is not the system, the prime ministerial system. The mischief is in the leadership who play the role of leaders. We have gone wrong. And that's why we have to pick up on law enforcement. The Ombudsman Commission become a lot more dynamic. They've done absolutely nothing up to now. I used to be a big supporter of the Ombudsman Commission and the values and ideals that it stands for by law, but I don't do that anymore, because the people who operate it are not living up to the expectations, terms and conditions, and the spirit of the law they are supposed to apply. ICAC, newly established. Off the bat, they get into an internal conflict. Now it's been stabilized. We hope to see better productivity. The court system. The police commissioner, I should mention him in particular. He's paralyzed so many things involving leaders through what they call the SIB, Special Investigation Board, there in the police headquarters. None of our leaders are held to account for the problems they've created. And now we are trying to bury that. Throw a blanket on top of it and bring in a new system and migrate all the same people over there to operate that new system. What manner of men will come and tell us that it will work on the other side of the fence? I don't believe anyone. We need to plow the land that we are standing on our side of the fence. We need to water it. We need to fertilize it. We need to cultivate it properly. Let's do the enforcement of the systems that we have already, and then you will see Mbakarim Gupla Kaikai. Now by bringing Gupla in that people blow, you mean not all this kind of debate? Gentlemen, please think about these things carefully. This reform, if you push it through, is going to lead to some bills being introduced here to give it life. We're going to create more problems. Let's do what is right first. Let us change our behavior. Let us teach our children proper behavior. Let us get the law enforcement agencies to do their job 110%. And when all of this fail, then you talk about this sort of conversation. Without trying all those, don't jump a 200-meter, what's that called, high jump or whatever. Don't jump. You'll break your bones. You'll break this country's bones. You create more problems. So, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I'm very concerned. We're trying to create a big problem. I ask all leaders to pull back and sit down and think about what they're going to do and say and how they're going to vote very, very carefully. This is not just a vote. It's going to decide the fate of a whole nation, and it's not a good pathway you are leading us to. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Abao.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, for allowing me and the people of Abao to have their say. Thank you, Chairman of the Constitutional Law Reform Commission and your team, your committee members, plus your technical team, who I believe had worked very, very hard, going around the country seeking advice and coming up with this final report for Parliament to debate on. And thank you, Prime Minister, for providing the leadership. My views I have expressed in my press statement last week, and I want to emphasize some of the areas that I have observed over the years serving the people of Abao and the country through this Honourable House for the last 5 terms. Number one message I want to emphasize, Honourable Chairman and Deputy Speaker, is big reforms always cause a lot of confusion. The 1995 reform on organic law on provincial governments and local level governments is the classic example of something that was working, the tap that was not leaking and was changed. Then we come up with a more problem under the organic law on provincial governments and local level governments, 1995. If you look at the Hansard, Honourable Deputy Speaker, the organic law on provincial governments and local level governments was one of the constitutional laws that had undergone many, many amendments, because to start with, it was badly structured. And so, if we push for major reforms, then the country is not ready. Our institutions of state are not ready to administer and manage the big changes that we want to bring in, with some of good intentions and some very, very bad intentions. The second point I want to emphasize, I think this small country has too many politicians. Politics is dictating too many things. Classic example, as the Prime Minister referred to in his statement, time for wonk, public service stops. It shouldn't be that way. The reason being that we have over-politicized the public service. And we also have provincialized the public service and districtalized the public service. We appoint people that are with us. And so that this instrument that is supposed to be the vehicle for delivery of the public goods and services in this country has been paralyzed because of politics. Too many tentacles of politics are going around. And so it's an issue that this Honorable House, under these changes that are recommended in this report, have to look at. Number 3 point I want to emphasize, and I have called for in my statement, public statement last week, the country and the parliament needs a well-structured conversation. There's no need for us to start fighting over this report. We must have a structured conversation. What do I mean? The executive government, not so much the opposition. Executive government, you are the executive arm of our government. You have to now take charge, but in a structured process so that we are able to identify those issues that will prevent us from making the same mistake as the 1995 reforms. And perhaps the better way to handle it is like what we normally do through our parliamentary democracy, is have a team on both sides of the House to support, go inside the report. And I have gone through the report about twice already, and some of the areas that I have seen are very, very good, very, very good. For example, some of the examples that the chairman has just stood up on. How do we elect the Prime Minister? Should we continue this 145 provision in the Constitution through a long process every 18 months? And our history that the Prime Minister has already clearly identified. Every 12 months, 18 months, 22 months, we were changing Prime Ministers. Should we continue? My view is no, we should not continue that way for the next 50 years. I think the provision of 145 has to be looked at. Look at Australia, our neighbor. Their Prime Minister is not elected the way. It's the party and the coalition of parties that go out to the electorate and get their mandate because of the policies that they are promoting. And so you have one big party and there are 2 or 3 small parties who are together all the time. They don't break up after elections because they want to go and join the government, Pangu on the government side. That type of political culture we have to kill now. We have to stop now. For example, the chairman has recommended, for example, why don't we amend our law and the party with the biggest number of elections, GG invites, don't come and vote for a Prime Minister on the floor again. That party leader becomes the Prime Minister. And then if the country is having problem, that party has to change their leader within the party, so we build our party systems up in the country. Our problem, the fourth issue that I was going to raise was, apart from so many politicians, we have too many parties. This has to be handled. We must stop it. So many parties with same policies. So why don't we strive to address the Constitution has recognized political parties as important vehicles. But too many, how do we address too many? And I think this is the way to look at these things. Our structured conversation has to go. The recommendations that some are given today doesn't have to be the answer, but there has to be a structured institutional process where some of these things have to be properly managed. In one of the grievance debate, I stood up and I said, this parliament has an obligation as a legislature to identify all the laws that are outdated. Nobody has done that. Attorney generals have not done that. Many of the laws are really outdated. So we have to structure some of these things. Is it constitutional impediments? Is it organic law impediments? Or is it enabling law impediments? Or is it administrative structures of the implementation vehicle that is badly aligned to the laws and therefore nobody can police the legislations? These are what I've been calling structural difficulties. We have major structural issues in this country and therefore effective implementation is not happening. 50 years ago, our socio-economic status were similar to some countries that you and I know. I'll mention one of them, like Malaysia. 50 years ago, PNG and Malaysia had same socio-economic status. We are now 50 years behind Malaysia. And the question is absolutely right. Should we keep on doing this and not achieving the outcomes we want? That's where Albert Einstein was absolutely right. And long passing. That's what he called it. If we keep on doing the same things and expect a different result, well, we are wasting our time. Insanity, he called it. And so my strong opinion is it is absolutely the right timing to have a structural conversation in this country. And the Prime Minister of the country, whether it's now or after the 2027 elections, has to take the lead role in making sure that the people's wish expressed in the report has to be structurally and slowly managed, because major reforms we cannot absorb because our institutions are not ready. Fifth issue. This parliament and this country needs more women members of parliament on the floor. How do we achieve it is the question. This society is made up of men. So how do we structure our laws, our political party policies? We've been trying. At one time there were 5 women, and then after that 4 laws and only 1 came in. This time we have 2. So the women folk are struggling to become members of this honorable house. And I agree with the sentiments that have been expressed that we need gender balance on the floor of parliament. How do we do that? And I have expressed my views. For example, why don't we review the provincial government system? In my statement last week I said, what is the role of the governor? Is he a legislator on the floor of parliament or administrator in the province? In fact, when Ben Micah changed the name from premier to governor, he made a fundamental, elementary mistake. Ben Micah and his committee made an elementary error. You look at the definition of governor. It's appointed by the head of state. Premiers are elected representatives. So we made a first mistake by removing the word premier, who is an elected representative, to a governor who is a representative of the head of state. Those small fundamental mistakes really shouldn't be allowed on the honorable floor of parliament. So I'm strongly recommending, Honorable Deputy Speaker, and in the structured conversation, I hope it can be processed very, very well, and I have advocated always for a bicameral. I know it can be slow. Some of the executive legislation need to move quickly. Budget has to be passed quickly, and the bicameral may slow the system. But sometimes in the rush, we make a mistake. And I've been debating that the executive numbers overtake the legislative role of the legislature. And so we may have to look at 19 regional representatives to be on the upper house, open members remain on the lower house, and then the premiers come back. We then move the country towards draining Waigani. That's the sixth comment I want to make. No more central control must be allowed in the next 50 years. Prime Minister was worried about, and the debates about the member for Sinasina, worried about what happens if you have a bad government. Office of the Prime Minister is occupied by a bad Prime Minister. My recommendation is give power back to the provinces. Don't keep power here in Waigani. Decentralize. Financial resources, transfer them. Let them appoint their provincial administrators, provincial finance managers. Don't come to Waigani all the time. Let them do the local level government elections rather than nation taking over the LLG elections. Those are the types of things we can do to get Waigani out of the way. Because these corridors in Waigani are too complicated to walk here. We get lost in the system. Ministers don't answer our phone calls. Prime Minister is busy. Governors are like little boys walking around. They have to beg let the budget be approved by the Assembly and no need for Treasurer to come and authorize it again. Assembly, the legislator. Budget passed, finish. Release the money and go to the province. Those type of things we must do. So, Deputy Speaker, there are these issues of draining Waigani, powers back. I've always argued in here, we had 22 years of an autonomous arrangement in this country. Let's push the autonomy issue. Let's talk about it in this discussion. Let's get provinces, provincial affairs minister, you structure a framework under which provincial government can move. Let the premier stay there and run the province and make money for the country. That's what is called for, not Waigani, not Prime Minister all the time. Prime Minister is going around cutting ribbons everywhere. And ministers are going to sleep, as the opposition leader has accused. Let the premiers do those things at the province. 2 levels of legislature is recommended. I fully agree with. I think LLG is a political club. You go and assess, Deputy Speaker, how many laws have been passed by the LLG government? And come to the province, how many laws have been passed by the provincial assembly? I mean, be just a handful. And so are we legislators or are we administrators? I think these are the issues that I want to participate in a well-structured conversation. That's why I released a statement last week. I knew that this report was coming, and so we really need to pick it up. I want to come back to too many political parties before my time is up. Can we make an effort, bring in a legislation to restrict too many parties? For example, I'm one of them. I'm a one-member party. After every election, for example, a party that comes with 1 or less should automatically be deregistered. I got same policies as PNC, I'll go and join PNC if they have more than one. And then over time, we have a handful of parties in the country. And then we move towards, for example, can the Prime Minister be elected? Not now. I mean, the big reason why I'm not in full support of Prime Minister being elected by the people is our electoral system is a failure. We have to solve the election process. Too many ballot papers are marked under the tribal house. That shouldn't be allowed. The number of voters registered on the common roll is smaller than the number of voters that entered the ballot paper. I recommended to the acting electoral commissioner, declare those failed elections. All those things we have to sort out our election system before the nation talks about electing the Prime Minister at the national level, because all types of things will happen. And we know how to climb through the window rather than the proper door in the electoral process. I couldn't emphasize more the need for us to build political parties. And I strongly recommend that to the House and to our people as we process, have this conversation, that there has to come a time when voters are not only voting for individual candidates, but they must also vote for party, because they agree with that party policy platform.
Honourable Member,
unless we do that, we will keep on having difficulty in our election time. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Before we continue the debate, the Leader of Government Business.
Deputy Speaker, I'll ask Leave of Parliament to move a motion without notice.
Mr. Leave granted.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I move that so much of the standing orders be suspended as would prevent A, the Parliament sitting beyond 5 o'clock p.m. this day, and B, the Parliament adjourning on a motion to be moved by a minister at any time.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Governor for ECPIC.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. And I thank the government and the chairman of the CLRC for bringing this question to the floor. I just have some issues which I thought should be expressed so that we could better understand what it is we're dealing with. The first thing is that I don't feel our people are qualified to be making adjustments to the system. And I felt that, of course, we understand there are problems, but most people don't understand the problems, Mr. Speaker. Pai manem sick, ino na pem sindar na diagnose memiet. Em bago lao sick na doctor by sekimem na by tokimem wanem something and problem. We have a problem with our system of government. And the immediate jump that the CLRC made was that it is because of instability that Olgata Narpla system is bagrab, Narpla patlo system. And I disagree with that, Mr. Speaker. Simply because the first assertion by the Honourable Chairman is that because long instability blow government, you miss Prime Minister close to, na all plans blow government you know implement. Now, he provided no data to substantiate that argument. Zero data, no evidence whatsoever. Let's look at the evidence. From 2002 to 2026, our closest friend and neighbor, Australia, had 7 prime ministers. Indonesia had 4 presidents. New Zealand had 6 prime ministers. In that same period, Papua New Guinea had 3 prime ministers. So, where is the instability, Mr. Speaker? Is it political instability? Is it policy instability? Or is it system instability? And come up nowhere. So I come back to the point. Our people are not qualified to make that judgment. If anything, just like as the Honorable Karangakua said, if anything, we should be bringing people who are experts on government to assess our system and tell us where the problem is, diagnose it. For instance, Mr. Speaker, time you look on 1+ system, you know, what constitutes a system? I didn't see that in the report. And I respect that there were many learned people who worked on that document, but nobody looked at the system to identify where the weakness was in the system, Mr. Speaker. In a system, there are several key elements. Number one is the input. Is the problem money? Is the problem knowledge? We never looked at that element in the report. Is, you know, the second key element of a system are the processes, the mechanisms that we have. And some of them were mentioned. You may got national government, you may got provincial government, now people are already saying you may got DDA government, now you may got LLG. And then we have a public service. They manage the processes that we do. We have members of parliament who are actually implementers. All of you here are implementers. You can't deny that. You plus a sit down no DDA na passing resolution na. You plus a selecting contractor na. You plus a going to make him work. That's implementation. We are all doing that just about. Outputs. Once you put in money or something go inside. What are the outputs we are after? And this is where I disagree with the method that the CLRC used. Only going to ask him all people, low quality, low display output. The results. Yes, the results are not there. And that's why I say they are not qualified to make a judgment on that system. NARPLA, key element no system and feedback. What is feedback, Mr. Deputy Speaker? Monitoring and evaluation. This country has not conducted any monitoring and evaluation, in my knowledge, at least for the last 30 years. No got true. You may put in money, put in more something, go say that no months are going to shake him. I have debated this on the floor, Mr. Speaker, many times. So feedback system long. Government blame you, I mean, no, it's never even been operationalized. No government man, me talk plenty time with this floor. One plan national government department should come to ECPIC, should go to Medeng, should go to ECPIC, at least once a year or 2 times one year na sekim. Money you play giving no district here. Only go walk in the sala walk or no gat. Any production the sala result or no gat. Money you play giving no province here. Any current kai or no gat. It has never been done, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Failure start lo hat. Now you blaming political instability start. Control. Again, another key element of any system. Are the control mechanisms working? Is ombudsman working? The key point raised by the Honorable Karangakua. Is the justice system working? Is ICAC working? FASU identified 18,000 transactions, over 30 billion kina remitted from this country. Not one single one prosecuted, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Because no got control of system here. There's no control mechanisms only no work, policy no work. I could go on, Mr. Speaker, but my point is, if there's a problem in the system, we need people who are familiar with that system. Kisi mechanic, you like fixing car. Unless you are a qualified mechanic, you don't have lost him car. You have to hire a mechanic to do it. Me play no got me blow member yet, like sit down, give him ting. Me play go around collecting ting, blow man no place na me play ting also no got. That's the solution. Respectfully. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I submit that it's not. Chairman Emi Togolsem, time you got government instability, policy implemented by the public servants. Now, at the last budget, I want to quote in terms of the MTDP 3 and the MTDP 4, and this is from planning. First Assistant Secretary from Macro Planning Division, Maria Louise Wow, indicated that millions of kina had been wasted because all of the district and provincial plans were not aligned to the MTDP. And me quote him straight, First Assistant Secretary of Planning. Secretary of Planning, Colin Samuel, emphasized that for MTDP 4 to be effective, there must be a complete overhaul of how development plans are made and implemented, moving away from just having documents on paper, because, let me talk long, MTDP 3, 80% of the budget is not spent on MTDP priorities. I am quoting the Secretary for Planning here. Walkman blow government. No God won't mention inside here political instability, Mr. Speaker. I want to come back to one of my other pet favorites, and the Honorable Pukatemu. Let me throw my hat talk on tableau display. Decentralization. I have wondered for a long time, because we have had autonomy in Bougainville for some time. And I have wondered, liang problem long sipig na planti haplo Papua New Guinea only interest lo despla ting you me call him autonomy. And I keep looking at Bougainville, and I wonder, I see the members of Bougainville in here, they enjoy an autonomous government supposedly, but the members of Bougainville are in here arguing for roads, bridges and classrooms just like the rest of us. So I'm asking myself, what is that autonomous government oligarch of Bougainville if their members are here arguing for the same things that we are arguing for? Surely with autonomy they should be doing something different to us. Let me know whether you know Larla leaders is a scaly monogat, but Mr. Sinanda, Mr. Ting. So in essence, when I'm kind of system you mean like trial of Bougainville where me say working argument too long. Greater autonomy for all provinces, not just Bougainville. But then I look at Bougainville, and I'm asking myself, we have had an experiment with autonomy with Bougainville. Do we know the results of that? Have we got any feedback from the Bougainvilleans themselves or their own MPs on this floor? Or from the Honorable President, Natim Blongem Lahab? Are we even interested to figure out if this is something that we work or not? And if it is working, are there lessons we can get from it? If it isn't working, what can we do to fix it? So I come back to this entire discussion by the CLRC. And it is my argument, Mr. Deputy Speaker, that the questions are wrong. And because the questions are fixed, the CLRC could not deviate and look at the real key problems. When I'm straight, I'm aswa. So I am stop lower. Seek him stop lower. Is it the politics? And I had the Prime Minister. And we talk of some, he has been really good at managing the politics. That's why government is stop. That is true. The Honorable Peter O'Neill was also very good at managing politics. And prior to that, the National Alliance government. Now you may look in here. Time government ni form, Garamanda move to government. Dingling line so start opposition. And then we come to the issue of instability. Is the instability being created by the opposition? Nothing. The instability is actually created within the government ranks. So you may current problem of government ranks, now you may kiss him come, now you may like solve him by changing the system. Me don't think that's like I'm straight. And I like the argument by the member for Sinasena Yongomul. Now you may look in. We cannot deny that there is money moving in our political system. We cannot deny it. But when you move to another system, there's like impact law money and by big law legally. You may not sabe. So, I would like for us to take another look at the report before we suggest a wholesale change to the system. Deputy Speaker, you should ask him, one and problem of this system. Me think of him, Mr. Deputy Speaker. If we fix up the monitoring and evaluation, if this year, some blah blah this national departments here, come no province blomina checking, please. You know, the other day, me go na visiting one plus school where me play putting water supply long St. Maslin. And the headmaster came up to me and said, Governor, this la 4-in-1 classroom here, contractor kisi money na MCAM na, put him cement na, and take off. No come na finish him, and that was last September. And I have to ring everybody to find out who said give him this la contract, who was the contractor. Now how come? Trangu, all picking in Plomelo St. Marcelin, they cannot access this classroom because somebody got paid and took off. Now I'm sure that is happening in other parts of my province, and I'm sure that's happening in your districts and provinces as well. The system is so weak that it doesn't go down and check. And when the governor turns up, now governor looking at problem now, governor ring him all man. That cannot be my job. I shouldn't be the one doing the M&E to find out if all the money work or not. The system should be doing that. Now suppose system will in the province in the work. Someone from Port Moresby should follow the money and come down. Come the province, na come check him, go na find out and talk no at all. Only no working something straight. This is not being done correctly. We have to get the feedback and close the loop. We haven't been doing that. So all of these things fall back on people, remember. And to fix it, we want to secure this political stability. And somehow that miraculously fixes everything. I don't think so. I think that if we just deal with the head and we don't deal with the accountability mechanisms, then the accountability issues and challenges still remain. All we are doing is doing a superficial change on the top, that's all. And by non work. So me ask him online, no government or minister, plus prime minister, look at, you've got how many ministers now? 38 ministers? In amongst all of that and the departments and everything else, there should be an inspection group from Port Moresby. Budget, you miss a structure in here. It's Waigani heavy. If you divided the budget up and looked at how much is going to the provinces and how much is staying in Waigani, by looking more some legally number go along all province na big plans are start lo Waigani. Draining the swamp should also include shifting a lot of those resources down to the provincial governments. And I make that argument again. Calm down, not check it. Check all of us. These are public funds, Mr. Deputy Speaker. You know money below me. Somebody from Port Moresby should have the authority to come down and do an inspection. You may come na struggle long, kisim approval long, passing budget below you me. That's all bien or man come down and check him implementation. No got man sakap. And then we get letters from agencies here saying, submit him acquittal report below plaka. You don't know whether I'm triple acquittal report or German acquittal report, me plus a Karim can put him because no got man sa go down na seki. Years ago, we were doing a job up in Southern Highlands. I was with the PM's department at the time, Mr. Speaker, as an advisor. And I remember, all in the Southern Highlands come now, talk all same. Every year, we plus exhibit same photo, na write all same report, then plus a Karim Goran Gim online must be. Now some must na tick, 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 tick. I heard this from the public servants in Southern Highlands in 2009. Me suspect was a bolan no sipik tu all working one kind of stuff. Because nobody comes and checks us. Me feel the same. If you started sending people down to check if work is actually being done, you are going to fix a large amount of our implementation problems. People are going to start spending money on the things that actually make a difference to the lives of our people. But because we are not doing that, they know that nobody's going to check. Only go get man working on the half classroom, take off. They take the money and they take off. Because they know nobody's going to check. So one time, Moldespla, Mr. Deputy Speaker, thank you long. You all Parliament, you Harim, all colleague leaders, but especially me appeal go long government, I come back long. Chairman, take another look at the questions and make sure that we are identifying what is the core issue and not just trying to effect a superficial change and the fundamental issues remain the same. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Governor for NCD.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, to allow me to contribute to this very important debate. It's a profound debate that we are having, very timely. Mr. Deputy Speaker, in the first presentation, I already expressed and participated in the debate, but I feel compelled to, contribute to this second debate because some of the points that has been raised, although it's everybody has the right to express themselves, Mr. Deputy Speaker, but we must be very cautious about our utterance, because the people out there, can take it in so many different ways. So this is why it compels me to once again contribute to this very important debate. I think, look, I want to acknowledge the debate so far by the Prime Minister and member for Sinasina Yongumug. I respect his views. I think member for Abau, I think, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's very objective debate. Some very important points that he's raised about us having a structured sort of a discussion or management of this recommendation, so that when we present it in the form of a law amendment to the Constitution, we are all in it together, maybe in a bipartisan way, or as leaders marking this time in the journey of our nation and our country, 50 years on. I acknowledge the debate too, very good points by the Governor, my brother from East Sepik. But this is what I want to emphasize and point out towards this debate. What we need to understand, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is that the points that the member for Sinasina Yongumug has raised probably are valid in terms of what the CPC report said in 1974. I have had the opportunity to now look at especially Chapter 10 of the CPC report. It's very thorough, but Chapter 10 is focused on decentralization, the significance of decentralization. It rejected the idea of regional government, having 4 regional government, but focus on provincial government. That's I would like to believe, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the crux of that recommendation is Chapter 10 of the CPC report. I'm not sure yet, and I'm trying to check if there was a very thorough, very exhaustive debate on whether we should have a presidential system or a parliamentary system like United Kingdom or Kainosema. We all can go and check the CPC report again, and I will endeavor to do that, to contribute to very objective debate. But the important thing is this, that the CPC report and the leaders of that time, they are leaders in their own right, very competent people, but they are leaders and, experts, they will say that, of that time in 1974, and the experience and the understanding and the world at the time. There were some compelling reasons why they choose this system and not the presidential system. But here we are 50 years on. Mr. Deputy Speaker, members of Parliament and our people, we have the benefit of hindsight. We have seen how this system has worked for the last 50 years. And so what I want to appeal to all of us is that we should not be afraid of bringing change, whether it's dramatic or minor change. But we must admit and concede that this system, especially based and coined in Section 145 of the Constitution, it's failed us. It has absolutely failed us. If we do a cost-benefit analysis from an accounting point of view, or financial, or political, or developmental, Prime Minister has articulated some of these, like the number of changes that is, vote of no confidence and so on. He himself, since 2019 up to now, has not been spared. I acknowledge what the governor for Pacific said compared to New Zealand, Australia, but they have protocols or system that guides and protect them. One vote of no confidence after another. And of course we can say, we have to have check and balance, but at what price? What's the cost? So I think these are important issues, but these are very important considerations that we must consider, the cost-benefit analysis. And if we do a simple calculation, we will see that Prime Minister since 1975, all managing country or not, all thinking of development or not, all thinking of provincial government or not. Their first and foremost occupation is numbers game. You can cross the Prime Minister, Honorable James Marape, but he has to do what he has to do to maintain government. You may learn the position, no. Wherever we are, if we were in his position, I suspect that we will do the same. How are you going to govern? How are you going to make these very fundamental, important decisions that are going to usher change in our country, or to address all the structural problems that we have? When the Prime Minister, the number one chief executive of our country, has no security of tenure of office. Every time I must look on the backside here. Number is stable. If I make addition or I bring this law, I institute this reform, will the rank and file support me? Or they will jump ship and jump boat? I suspect that any of us being in that position too, we will do the same. We will submit to the same type of political culture. That's the cost-benefit analysis that we should be doing. And it's time that we must come up with change. We cannot continue to do the same thing, expecting the Prime Minister to do the right thing, when we know that his main preoccupation, number one priority is to keep government intact. And the busy you, Governor Bluyumi is speak. Am I thinking you, but he has to maintain government. So something you might say, you may look at us criticize him, but he has to do what he has to do. How are we going to fix that? That's the challenge you may face, Stavia. The price is too much. You may look at us, now you may come, you may question more people, you may. Me, I'm a testimony, and my brother here from must be northwestern, must be northeastern, must be south. We wouldn't be here if our people, Papua New Guineans, did not trust us and respect us and give us the mandate. So when we utter, whether the people, our people, can make this right decision or not, I think we should look at the mirror here. We should look at the mirror, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Time you make this a powerful old people to elect the Prime Minister of the day, or to respect him, how are we making the decision based on the best interest of our people, or based on whatever parochial self-interest me by minister, or party by simdesa number, or why by mix simdesa benefit? Let's be honest and realistic. And Mr. Deputy Speaker, this power to elect the people of Prime Minister of Papua New Guinea belongs to our people. It is not ours. the constitution and give him Loyomi. Because the CPC at the time did not trust our people. And to give it to the landed members of parliament, honorable distinguished members of parliament. We ask ourselves, online Loyomi of past and now, if we utilize this power in a very, objective way, or used it properly to elect the Prime Minister, incumbent Chief Executive Loyomi, you may trade him, go come. Should we continue to utilize this power that belongs to our people, or give it back to our people? These are the options that Chairman Blong, CPC, Constitutional Reform Committee and his team, they've presented to us. They've given us a number of options for us to consider. All the talk, now we should have an objective, good debate. But I believe that if we don't utilize this power properly, honorable members, it's not our power. Let's not, come up with this idea that it belongs to us. It belongs to our people. But because our people, 10 million or 20 million or whatever we got, they cannot come and represent themselves behind the floor of parliament. We have a representative system of democracy. So you make some mandate belong only come here. We're supposed to be deciding on behalf of our people, the best interest of our people. We ask ourselves these 50 years, have we been doing that or not? That's the fundamental key question we should be asking. What do you say, people cannot make this decision? I think we are the one who has the problem. We want to keep this power, perhaps, and trade it left, right, and center. Suppose you may not look out him and are using this as a power good. Give him power, all people go back. Give it back to them. And they make decision. And if they make bad decision, they live with it. Me talk about this last time, yeah? They live with it because it is their power to make this decision to elect the chief executive of our country. We are just being given this mandate because we are representing them. But it doesn't belong to us. No can fall foul of this law. Here, must be. We don't trust our people, so you are looking, all go work in settlement, left, right, center. We cannot give them land title. This is the attitude that you may get. Me, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Acting Assistant Speaker, come on. Me looking at in Port Moresby, if Minister Blow, Deputy Prime Minister, you may give him title. We manage land tenure properly in the urban center to give him title all people. They will build this city of Port Moresby, our capital. And they will make you all proud. We are holding them back because we don't have confidence in them. We think that they'll mark up the system. Let me look him long. I can give a small example here in Port Moresby. Down there, Tauranga Beach and, what is the Tauranga Valley, now you go down to Tauranga Beach. The landowners, by their graces, reach out again to our people, all give him ground long, all customary landowners to our people here. And look at what our people are doing down there. No proper survey, no, basic amenities like water, power, and sewage. But look at them, they're building palaces down there. If we trust our people, they will build this city of ours, city of 1,000 tribes. They will make us proud. And that's our attitude that, am I wrong here? Me think our people are ready for it. Our people are ready for it. The people who are not ready are us members of parliament. We want to maintain this power. And if we want to maintain this power, make sure we use it properly. We use it for the highest good of our people, of our nation, of our country. But if we are trading it, it will come. Then we've lost the moral authority to keep this power. Give him all people, suppose you may not have used him good. But you will keep him. Then come up with criteria to use it properly. Now. You may not pull him tight and he go, he come. Use it, nothing. He got married, so no got some number, he come. Me by moving vote of no confidence. Me got, security of 10 was governor of our capital city. have got 5 years guarantee. You all open members, you all got 5 years guarantee, unless somebody take you in a court of disputed return or kind of same. So you can do your plans, 5-year plan for your district, for your province. But Papua New Guinea, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Papua New Guinea, the Prime Minister who's supposed to lead the way and come up with the overarching plan, strategy, solve all the problem, that's not the security of tenure. Only before time you may start 6 months, and then you may come 12 months, and then you may come 18 months. Lucky you plus sambla inu golim the supposition. You plus golim the supposition. You plus by age very fast. But you plus go lapun very fast. Look in Prime Minister now. When we came in 2007, I'm young Plamani. Me, I'm about 12 or how many years elder than him now. Olga the Grassico, it's, climatic change happened, lot time process. But I'm young Plamani, look him. Not long am I reach him stage from me. I might be looking better than him. Yeah, because I've got security of tenure. Some problem may come, but me manage me stuff. So, this is a serious problem. The chief executive does not have a security of tenure. Mr. Deputy Speaker, there is a debate that is going on that is valid, and that's about provincial government. Governor Bluyumi lo speak, I mean talk na. Member Bluyumi, senior Bluyumi lo yellow parliament, sepukatemu, talk ya. Members of Parliament, it's very valid. People governors talk lo this way. Provincial government, they are key to our future. You may empower them all. You may give them all the powers that they need, support them all. Once the provinces, they are thriving. Hey, Papua New Guinea, by come up here. And that's the lesson that we can learn from if we're talking about our neighbors in Australia. In Australia, they have a federal system. National government is stuck, or federal government is stuck, but the state all got power. They can provide, they have their own police, all got, look out in health and education, infrastructure. Even they own the mines in Queensland. How many hundred and how many mines long? 500 mines or somewhere in Australia. Yeah. All state government only own him. Federal government in Australia. So this system in work here, a good decentralized system, whatever you want to call it, provincial government or autonomous government or whatever, state government or federal government or whatever. But the division of labor between the national government and the provincial government or the state government is very clear. That's what we've got wrong here. That's a real debate that you must got. But this debate about Section 145, whether Parliament should maintain its right to elect the Prime Minister, or we go to the people, or we have a presidential system, or we do it in some ways, you may suggest him here. That's a debate that is separate and we must address it. You may look along state government yet. You look at the examples in the world. China is thriving because the central government in Beijing give him full power to all provinces, even to the extent of foreign affairs, all give him all provinces. So in the provinces in China, all thrive here. The economy developed, infrastructure developed, employment is developed, GDP belongs, some of them are better than some countries of the world, just in the provinces. That's why China is taking off. You look along USA too, they have a federal system. The division of labor between the federal government and the state government is very clear. What we have not solved when we try to figure out the going come and you got problem here, what is the function of the national government and the separation between the provincial government? You may not clear him now. Then we go talk about all these bottlenecks going come. You may all governors now, you may complain law, DDA. But DDA, ask him, remember, you may long, Yalibu Pangia. He came up with this plan. Yes, me not blaming you, but you have to do what you have to do because Southern Islands provincial government then probably was not catering for Yalibu Pangia. So you had to come up with a plan to solve that problem. But if we empower the provinces, then we might not have DDA. We plow governor by work good band, you plow open member because money play come low provincial budget, then It is accounted for in the provincial budget. You have a plan, we appropriate it to you because it's earmarked for your district. But now you look directly here. You all account low, sir. You managing good money, or you found money, or all equipment you buy me, you got some yard stuff, and you got inventory. This is a Deputy Speaker. This is a serious problem. But you know what? The Prime Minister, he has to do this because he has to maintain the support of the open members. This is the problem. Here is the problem. You if I was in his shoe too, I will do the same too. I'll bypass you governors, all brother to me, and I will give the money directly to the open members so that I keep my numbers intact. That's what we've been doing since 1975. We come up now. Why can't we see it? We have to see it. This is the big elephant in the house.
Honorable Governor.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Time to be out. That's all. Maybe I contribute again. The
Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the debate be now adjourned and that it be made an order of the day for next sitting.
Is that the motion be agreed to? Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Leader of Government Business.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Parliament do now adjourn until tomorrow 10 a.m.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Honourable members, I now adjourn the Parliament to tomorrow 10 o'clock a.m.